Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. Today we're going to be talking about this, what you see behind me, my YouTube studio. It's a very small studio and there's a lot of issues that came up, but I figured out a few solutions that helped me to be more efficient so I can create videos like this to deliver to you all. And hopefully this is going to be beneficial to you who's ever watching that needs some inspiration for small spaces. And how small are we talking? There's a wall here. There's a wall here that I can touch. Slowly walk over here, test that guy. So it's pretty small. I think it's about 8 by 5. So yeah, just a quick note, I did film the majority of this video on my iPhone just because it was more convenient, but I realized how bad the ultra wide is. I thought there was enough light in the space, but it's really kind of crunchy. So pay no mind to how bad the image looks. As long as I get the content out there, that's what matters to me right now, and then me sharing about this process. So I just want to throw that out there. All right, the first big issue in this space that I'm in is sound. So right above me is the kitchen. So I hear it anytime the dishwasher's going, the sink is going, any footsteps, because right behind this wall is the garage. So if the kids are playing and running around, like he likes to pop in every time here and there. Huh? Yeah, I'm recording right now. I'm not? Okay, I'm not. But so the main you wanna go bye-bye? Go bye-bye. Go. Bye. Slow down. So here's some of the gear that I use to get really good sound. The first one, it being the Zune H6. I'm actually obviously using this right now for talking. I've done this quite a bit. It is just easy to kind of pick it up and run with it. This has come in handy because now I can bring my audio much closer to my mouth so I can kind of cancel out the things that are around me. The second thing of audio that I have is my Rode NTG3. This is cream of the crop. I love this mic. It warms the voice very nicely. It gives me a really bassy voice, but it helps cancel out because it's a very narrow sound pickup. I do use that quite often. Now, I do also have a Audio-Technica AT405 3B. This is also a special mic because Jonathan Morrison gave me this mic when I was in the studio. Again, thank you, Jonathan. I don't know if you watch my videos, but I appreciate you, homie. This was a solid gift. For podcasting with Saint 16, or sometimes I just use it for the A-roll of my videos, I use the DT, I forget the name of it, I'll put it on the screen, but the DD podcast mic. But aside from just the mics, I treated this space as best as I could. Here's what I did. I put moving blankets in many places as I could. So I have some on the floor. As you can see, I have some behind me. There's some on this wall. There's some in front of me. And that does help the reverb of my sound because I do have this concrete wall. Now, I did not treat this concrete wall because I like it as texture. When I shoot this way for products, for my new desk setup, we'll get to the desk soon. So I did do that, and I think it does help with the just echoey, especially when the house is quiet. It sounds really good. If I was to recommend one thing, definitely get the Zune H6 because this is a very versatile mic. You can get different attachments for shotgun, for podcast, for all these different things. So this is probably the most versatile tool in my kit, and I'm really grateful that I have this mic. The number one thing I think, aside from all the gear that I have, is actually communication with my wife. I tell her the times that I'm going to be recording, so knowing when my schedule is for podcasting, knowing when the kids are going to go to sleep, how can she maybe take them out and go to the park and stuff, to the mall and whatnot. So she's been a huge component of me getting better sound outside the technical aspect of recording in the space. So I greatly appreciate it. And she also turns off the HVAC and heater when I need to record because that thing gets loud. Let's talk about the next issue you have to face when dealing with a small space is storage. Where do you put your lights? Where do you put all the trinkets that you have? I have a lot of stuff. Recently, my wife and I went down to the Container Store and we got this nice big old box of 20 clear containers, which allowed me to organize all the different knickknacks and gear pieces that I have, and they've been wonderful. So I actually walk over here. This is the first space you'll see when you walk into this space, and it's right underneath the stairs. So we try to tidy up this as much as possible. Now this was hideous before, but here are the little containers I talked about. This is perfect for what I need. We have 20 of them. The only thing we have to do now is just label them, but this allows me to be really organized. Hi. This allows me to be really organized and get things off the floor and into storage. Now, of course, you need shelving units. This is a really cheapo shelving unit from Home Depot. This is a broom holder, and I have some things here for like my different poles and audio poles and all that stuff. And so if you come back over here, down here too, we have this shelving unit. Shelves are really nice in this space because now I can kind of put things up. So still figuring out what this middle part is here, but this is definitely going to be battery charging and some things I can quickly grab, snacks. Up top here, just kind of like a showcase for my cameras, you know, the DZO lenses, a 6K Pro, and then I have my Fujifilm X-H2S, and more storage here. Floor space is very important too. The floor space is not that much once you start putting things in here. Now it was even worse when you have too many C-stands on the floor. Now I have just one C-stand here and the other one here that kind of holds another mic if I need to boom a mic. How I rig my lighting is actually using these baby pins that I've drilled into the ceiling underneath the floors, and so now I can hang my lights, which is way better, way more efficient, and it gets out of the way so I can kind of freely move. And I've done this with these quasars as well. These have dimmers on it. I have another one back here. This here is the new Zcam Zolar, and I've been using this, testing this here and there, so I have that mounted up well. This is powered by a VMOT battery, so I can just turn it on and off, and this lasts pretty long on the low power. Along with their lighting, I do have soft boxes, but I've gridded them just because there's too much light spill. And one thing to really kind of keep in mind is to control the light in this space. So flagging it, using grids, lowering the power, having accent, kind of build different layers. I'm not perfect at it, but like as I'm tweaking light, I don't want light to be everywhere, and it doesn't look good because it'll cast shadows and stuff like that. So that's really what you want to try to fix when you're dealing with lighting in these smaller spaces. Now I've kind of created this black box, so there's a lot of negative field naturally in here, and that's what I kind of use. So black box, and I just add light or take away light in that space. So that's kind of helps me. So yeah, I would say definitely try to maximize the floor space so it doesn't feel too cluttered when you walk into your space. So if you can get the lights up, that's great. If you can get a lot of storage units, that's even better. Just kind of tuck things away so they won't be everywhere. And speaking of more space, now there is an extra 2 feet behind this blanket here, and that just again stores the different bags or cases that I don't need, and also has the water pump, and it doesn't look great, so I just put up a blanket there to kind of get rid of that and hide that. So now my space is really just confined to about 8 by 5. That's what you're really seeing. Now, along with trying to figure out maximizing space, again, I didn't want to put more C-stands down if I wanted to have backdrops. I got these Very poles off of B&H or Adorama, and these are great. These come in a set of 2, and it uses like not friction, but like it wedges itself between a ceiling and the floor. Luckily I have concrete floors, and you can set in different backdrops. So I have 2 up here. You guys have seen this already a lot, the yellow and gray. I need to change that, but again, that just allows more flexibility. So it's this narrow pole that you can just have they can work around versus having a 3-legged C-stand and tripping over it. And so I really like that setup that allows me and my wife to come in here to do product stuff if we need to, or set up a backdrop to give a different look, or just keep it up like I have been so far. So that's a really handy piece of gear that I have, and really like using, and it just stays there. I haven't really moved it. I can move it anywhere else, but I choose to leave it here because it works, it's functional. But let's talk about my favorite thing about the space that I've been trying to work on. Is actually this desk setup. And many of you already know I moved completely away from my MacBook Pro to the M2 iPad Pro. This is the studio display. I really like this display. I did have it upstairs, but just the way that the iPad works with USB-C and the connectivity of other monitors is just not the same experience as it is with this. I do have some quirks, and again, I will be making a full review about this whole transition because I found some very interesting things that I hope Apple will address if they are trying to move in this direction. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But I've been figuring out the desk space for down here because sometimes I can't edit upstairs because the kids always bother me. They still bother me wherever I go, but I can close the door and come down here and kind of work on some other things that I need to. And this allows me to still be productive even if I need to edit as well, because DaVinci Resolve is on the iPad. And I was a beta tester and it works fantastic. So I'm still figuring out some of the quirks, some of the workflows. I have, some dongles that I picked up to do some testing for data transfer. So all those things I'm definitely going to talk about. But this is my desk. So starting with the actual desk itself, this is the Husky stand-up desk, but it's manual, so you have to crank it. I really wanted a butcher block desk, and it has drawers that I can store stuff. I've kind of teased this here and there, how my tools are kind of laid out, and it's not always perfect, but I got a rubber mat in here so things won't kind of roll around too much. But I have all the tools that I use for taking apart lenses, working on cameras. Another feature that I like about this is that it rolls, and so I can move this in a different position due to how I want the lighting and all that stuff. So that just is very helpful for when I need to just change things up a little bit to kind of freshen it up. Javen, don't touch that. Touch that. Look. You can't have. He wants the mic. No, you can't have the mic, buddy.
Several days later.
So yeah, before this desk, I had some dedicated shelving units that I kind of converted into desks, but that wasn't great because they had to stay put. There was no wheels or anything like that. And having wheels on this desk made it super convenient to move things around when I need to reconfigure in this small space. And so which kind of brings me to my next point. When you are in a small space like this, finding the right angle is very difficult. And for the most part, I do just film with this background behind me because this texture is kind of nice, or I'll have like the backdrop, so I'll film the opposite way. But mainly the camera just stays this way and avoiding my little walkway I have here on the side. So finding the right angles in your space is good. So just take a moment and kind of look around, walk around with the camera at least. Point to different spots that makes it look good, and you can start putting things into frame. So actually I have this is technically a new angle, so I have like the desk behind me here, and then my cabinet that's still kind of dirty over here. But you remember, shooting into the L gives you that depth. Now the camera that I tend to use already is the Fujifilm X-H2S. I currently have two of them right now. I have the 13mm Viltrox on here, which is a 20mm equivalent to full frame, and I think this gives me enough separation from the background to what I'm trying to do here. And it's a wide lens, as you can see here, and I am shooting into the L, which gives me a little bit more depth anyway. So I do shoot flat too. I've had a few shots as well doing that for the A roll, and I think that works. So is this all about trying to be creative in this space? And I think that's the fun part of being in a small space, is like, how can you make something this crammed feel like it's big? And sometimes I know a lot of you ask me, like, you actually have a small studio, or this doesn't feel that small. It is pretty small, and I hopefully like some of the footage you've seen kind of gives you an idea of how small the space is and how I'm just working with it. And it's really about how can you make the best of what you have. I always say that limitation breeds the most creativity. Most creators will tell you that, because that's what really happens when you are forced with whatever you have in front of you and you have to make it work. Alright, so that wraps it up for this video, and I know this is probably a much different studio tour that you've probably watched. It's not as polished, nothing like that. It's kind of really raw and gritty, and that's what I kind of just want to show, because in the grand scheme of things, as much as I want to say that this stays clean, I don't even know what that means, but I'm always interrupted. I'm always having to pivot while I'm at home, and there's a lot of things I just had to adapt to. And then this room kind of represents how much I've adapted due to the space that we're in. We have a nice house, but like this space is really small for what I have to work with, and then the kids are always kind of popping in and out. But I'm learning to deal with it, live with it. Again, huge shout out to my wife. She's been a great help in trying to talk through when I need to have things a little bit more quiet, as I'm doing a video like this. Kids are asleep, or my daughter's watching something right now and eating. But yeah, I think that's, can be very relatable to a lot of you who watch my stuff, who have families. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I'm constantly still learning. There's a lot of things I still want to do to this space to make it a little bit more efficient. But it's been fun trying to work with this and dialing in things as I've gone through the time being here. So yeah, There will be links in the description if there's something that you saw that might help your space. Definitely click it. It does help the Sunny 16 crew because all that kind of feeds back into the pot of everything that we've been doing. It is our full-time job now, this and production life. What else? I don't know. Let me know what are some tips and tricks that you've done for your space, and let me know if this video was helpful in some way. For those who are starting to make a small studio or use a small room in their house to make a studio, or those who've been doing it for a while. I want this to kind of be like an open dialogue, whoever's using whatever to make videos with. So yeah, all right, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I got some videos coming down the pipe, and yeah, so there's that. Cool. I'm gonna actually finish editing this right now. All right, I'm out.